I went to Kerala University to do my MSc in Statistics in 1954. I worked, I think, with U.S. Nair, was a friend of C.R. Rao, was the professor in Kerala University, Trivandrum. From there, I joined ISI in 1956, the Research and Training School headed by Professor C.R. Rao. I will refer to, of course, the contributions of C.R. Rao later in the session on C.R. Rao. But I would like to, although I don't want to take much time, as you other mentioned, I have been in the field actively as a statistician and econometrician from 1958, when I joined the Delhi School of Economics as lecturer in economic statistics. And I think I had the privilege of being a teacher of H.D. Vinod. Before that, I should also mention V.N. Pandit. V.N. Pandit was in my very first batch, and that was the first year I started teaching econometrics. I think much of econometrics which I taught was self-taught, because in 1958 there were no books on econometrics. I used to refer to the Cowles Commission monographs, monograph 10, monograph 14. That was my introduction to econometrics, self-teaching, so to say. After teaching in Delhi School for 5 years, Delhi School, of course, was headed by Dr. V.K. Rao, the other famous Rao. He is in economics. I think I joined as a assistant statistician Delhi School with the well-known national accounts expert Subhrabaran as the statistician. I think I owe much to Subhrabaran for giving me a footing in the Delhi School of Economics. Of course, soon, within a year, they all saw some spark in me, and you should join the faculty. So in 1959, I became a lecturer in Delhi School of Economics. After working there for 4 years, I went to Chicago in 1963 to do my PhD in economics. My supervisor was Professor Z. Gillikas, very well-known person in productivity, agricultural economics, and so on. And he was a friend of Dale Jurgensen of Hyderabad, of Harvard University. I mentioned this because my association with Dale Jurgensen got renewed in 2010 when Jurgensen started what is known as the World Lens Initiative on Productivity. I think Dr. Golder will refer to that when in his lecture later today. I think I took my teaching very seriously in Delhi School of Economics. I taught apart from the economic statistics. After that, from 1967 onwards, I taught continuously econometric methods, econometric theory, basic statistical theory. I am very proud to see one of my illustrious students, Professor T.C. Anand, is here. I think he took my course on econometric statistical theory and econometrics theory. That was known as the Group E in the Delhi School of Economics. I think Group E used to be taken. Dr. Beru Bawas was here. I took my teaching very seriously. Apart from teaching, I think I was very active in research supervision. I think I produced a record number of PhDs in Delhi School of Economics. For that, I was honored in 2000 through a conference on industrial transformation in India. A 3-day conference attended by scholars from all over India. And that volume came out in 2006, and it is entitled Industrialization in a Reforming Economy. Although it is now dated, I think now my other student, Nagesh Kumar, I think who also did an MPhil with me, PhD MPhil thesis with me, now he is the director of ISID. He has now setting up a lot of interest in industrial transformation of India. Why industrial share in GDP remains stagnant? I think this riddle has not been resolved. He hopes to solve this riddle through there's a special issue on industrial transformation in India by a special issue of Indian Economic and Political Weekly, which is slated to come out in the middle of this year. I think my contributions are mainly through my students. I think my own work is a bit limited. Although I have dabbled in research, I am a perfectionist. I don't easily approve my own work. So therefore I will say subsequently, after retiring from the School of Economics in 2000, the director of ICRIA, Indian Council of Research in Economic Relations, Isha Rahulwalia, very dynamic lady who passed away prematurely a couple of years ago. Of course, I advised her in her work on productivity, industrial productivity, stagnation. 2 books she produced. I think she was grateful to me and invited me to be a consultant in ICRIA. I worked there for 2-3 years, but anyhow I left. I was not too happy with their ideology and so on. So I withdrew voluntarily from ICRIA in 2003 or so. And in 2007, I think I became the chairperson of CES, Center for Economic and Social Studies. I think with Hanumantarao, Professor Hanumantarao was as the leading figure there. After 2 terms there, I went to MIDS as chairman. I was there for 7 years, 2013 to 2020. I think both these institutions doing a lot of applied work, I think have made the name for themselves. I don't attribute the success to me, but I think my motivation, my sincerity probably paid some dividend. Right? In choosing the directors, I was very scrupulous. I think I made Shashank Bide was the director for MIDS, for CES. Professor Mahendra was the director for a number of years, although I was in such committee along with Dr. Hanumantarao. I think I am a perfectionist. Unless I am thoroughly impressed with a person, I will not recommend him. I think we were very happy to have Mahendra as the director of CES. Subsequently, of course, I was not involved in his becoming the director of IGIDR. It was Dr. Y.V. Reddy who was instrumental in his becoming the director. And he has proved his greatness, I think, in giving good direction to IGIDR. I think I will go on. My story is very long. But just because I have been invited as a chief guest, I want to say something about what my achievements, what my failures are. I think I will now stop here, and I am very happy to be here. I must congratulate Dr. Das for organizing this session, inviting the conference here. And this is the first time, I think, Agartala is hosting this conference. Yeah. And I was asking them about the Tripura economy. I think there's a session on the Northeast, but Northeast is too large. I think Tripura should receive more attention in terms of discussion, I mean to say, because therefore I will stop here, and I again want to felicitate the organizers and all the volunteers. I must thank them. They are extra kind to me, given my physical weakness. Thank you all very much. And all the success to the conference.
We wish to thank you, sir, for your presence here. Your presence in this conference is a blessing for all of us. Thank you so much, sir. May I now invite Professor S. Mahendra, former Director and Vice Chancellor, Indira Gandhi Institute of Development Research, Mumbai, to deliver his presidential address. Sir.
My teacher, Prof. Krishna, of course, is teacher of everyone, and Dr. Deepak Sharma, Professor Sukendu, Professor Shubhra, Dr. Shanmugan, and many friends here, and all the participants. So very good morning to all of you. It's a great honor and privilege to deliver the presidential address at the 58th oldest and most reputed professional societies in the country. Eminent econometricians, economists, trustees, office bearers of the society, and other stakeholders have strengthened the ties since 1960. I'm also happy that we have a session on Dr. C.R. Rao, the contributions of this C.R. Rao, and also thank the Department of Economics, Tripura University, for organizing this conference, and all the volunteers are taking care of us. The annual conference of TIES provide opportunities for young scholars to present research papers and interact with experts from India and abroad. In fact, I remember the wide participation of experts, senior and young researchers and students when we organized the 50th annual conference of the TIES, the Golden Jubilee Conference at IGIDR Mumbai in 2013. Personally, I have learned a lot from the activities and publications of the society in the last 4 decades. I would like to acknowledge that my knowledge in econometrics is due to the excellent teaching of Professor K.L. Krishna and late Professor A.L. Nagar at the Delhi School of Economics. Keeping in view of the broader interest of TIES, I've chosen to speak on regional dimensions, economic growth, inclusive and sustainable development. In fact, my PhD topic was on interregional variations, so I'm happy to revisit the regional dimensions after 40 years, in a comprehensive way, covering growth, inclusion, and sustainability. Since the written address is long, so I prepared a PowerPoint, so I'll go through. The slides are self-explanatory, so I won't spend too much time on each slide. We know the extent of wide interregional variations. Elsewhere Planning Commission, Niti Aayog also focused on these issues. Now India is aspiring to achieve the status of developed nations. In fact, a report of CI says that India's GDP would be, by 40 trillion by 2047. So in this context, I think the role of states is very crucial to achieve this goal. So that's why I thought, I'll flag the issue of regional dimensions in this presidential address. So what is the outline of the address? So we examine the regional variations, growth, inclusion, and sustainability. Specifically on economic growth, is per capita GSP converging or diverging across states? On inclusive development, I will touch on agriculture, on achieving zero hunger, poverty, inequalities, and human development. And sustainable development, which are the states more vulnerable and environment problems. And lastly, fiscal federalism, including the North-South divide. So we all know this, I won't go into the details, the solo contribution, Barrow and Saleh Martin. In India, there have been several studies on convergence and divergence. So I examined whether Indian states are converging in per capita over a long period, 2001 to 2019-20. Of course, there are several data problems, SDP, I won't go into the details. But also, apart from that, we also looked at sectoral level, whether sectoral level they are converging at agriculture, industry, and services. So we have done at 20 major states, but I also included Northeastern in a separate analysis. There I'll talk later. And data we got from EPW Research Foundation, which got from RBI statistics. So this is the standard equation. I won't go into the details. The beta convergence kind of hypothesis. In a separate equation, we also did agriculture share in total SDP as control, and also in the third equation, we include sectoral composition thing. So some of the results, the red ones, show that they're positively significant coefficient. So that means initial income, higher initial income states, their growth rate is higher. So they're not converging, they're diverging significantly in per capita SDP. Even if we include some controls, the results is same. When I included actually Northeastern, it was not significant. It was neither divergent nor convergent. I have done for sub-periods also, it is there in the paper, I will go to the details. So the analysis for sectoral level, per capita agriculture GST shows neither convergence nor divergence. It's not significant in the long run. Per capita industry, there is also not significant, but services, this is a divergent, it is significant. You can see the per capita GSTP, initial per capita and growth rates, this positive significant, and also I did the per capita SDP, and also this is actually coefficient of variation, weighted and unweighted coefficient, that's also increasing. On agriculture, it's interesting because it declined till 2013-14, then it started increasing. So we have to see why this showed increase in agriculture per capita SDP. In industry, although it's not significant, it is increased up to 2013 and then a little bit stagnant in the weighted coefficient of variation. And similarly, services SDP also has increased over time. In fact, the MOSPI provides comparable estimates of GSDP for finance commissions. So I just looked at 11th Finance Commission data and 15th Finance Commission data. So there are some ranks variations. For example, ranks of Odisha, Uttarakhand and all increased significantly. Punjab was number 1 in 99, but it is number 9 in 2016-19. So there are some ranks changes, but if you see the coefficient of variation and all, there is significant increase from 0.46 in the 11th Finance Commission to 15th Finance Commission data, about 0.67. So the regional disparities in per capita GSTP have increased over time. And I wanted to determinants, but there are several studies. So I just quoted, basically it is, for example, Govinda Rao and others did patterns of private investment, per capita public expenditure on social. Basically it's a physical infrastructure and human capital that divides. And Manoj Panda and others did on infrastructure development, social sector, financial inclusion. And fiscal deficits slows down the growth. And Pinaki Chakravarti and others did on public spending on capital expenditure, state-wise gross fixed capital formation, that strengthen the economic growth. Yeah, in fact, investment as credit deposit ratio as a proxy, I mean, it's well known that East, Northeast and Central regions have lower CD ratio, but of course it depends on the demand also for the credit, whereas Southern region has almost 94%. Similarly, exports, because investment and exports are the crucial things for growth. The share of exports, 10 states account for 85% of exports. Similarly, top 100 districts account for 680 out of that, account for 87% of exports. So there's a lot of concentration of exports, so other states can also attempt that. Now I come to the aspirations of states to achieve higher growth, because some of the chief ministers have said, for example, UP chief minister said 1 trillion economy by 2027, and Tamil Nadu announced the target of 1 trillion by 2030. Dr. Rangarajan and Shanmugan examined this target for Tamil Nadu and indicated 9% real growth is possible for Tamil Nadu. And trillion target can be achieved by 2033-34 rather than 2030. In fact, they said per capita income by that time it will be like a developed country status. So these kind of things may be needed in order to achieve the goal of 2047. Now I come to my second part, the inclusive development. So first I'll explain the different concepts. In fact, yesterday we were discussing PC Anant and all these inequalities, pro-poor. So what is pro-poor growth? That is reduces income poverty. And inclusive growth reduces income poverty and inequality. Inclusive development, not only income poverty, it also has the well-being, health, education. So this is much wider than the other two, than the pro-poor growth and inclusive growth. So which is closer to SDGs kind of thing. So we look at regional variations in agriculture as an overview, achieving zero hunger in this. Importance of agriculture is well known. Still 46% in employment. India transformed, the green revolution, white, maize, poultry, cotton. And high growth rates in high value crops, livestock fisheries. In fact, the share of cereals is only 16%, which is closer to horticulture thing. But agriculture growth varies across states. Irrigation cover is also low in some of the states. For example, annual trend growth rates, agriculture, if you take some of the states like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, some states have done well the growth rates, whereas Bihar, the Haryana, Himachal, Kerala showed negative growth. Punjab, which has 99% irrigation, but this growth rate is lower, partly because diversification is also not there. So there significant irrigation also is lower in some of the Maharashtra, Odisha and other places. But in spite of progress, there are several challenges for agriculture. For example, green revolution approach has led to waterlogging, soil erosion and all. Climate change is another challenge. And of course, food and nutrition security is a concern. Of course, the remunerative price is the most important factor. Recent now that agitation is going on by farmers. So they want demands MSP at C2 cost plus 50%, the Swaminathan report, and legalize MSP for 23 crops. In fact, if you see farmers' income growth, it's a decline growth rate from 3.4% to 2.45% in the recent period. Agriculture prices are volatile, so some of the demands may be justified, but legalizing MSP for all crops may have a problem. But deficiency payment system may be better, because if the MSP goes down in the market price lower, then some kind of thing. But one needs to estimate, because there are several estimates. They say 11 lakh crores is needed, and some others say only 23,000 are needed. So one has to estimate what exactly are the figures and move forward. And also reorientation of agriculture to climate change, rising economic survey mentioned some of these problems. Agriculture sector also suffers from low capital formation, declining R&D. So there is a need to change in narrative and policies because agriculture covers almost 11 SDGs, the importance of the agriculture, and it's a state subject. The policies have to be done more at state. Because policies still favor rice and wheat. For example, rice, wheat, sugarcane, corn are 75 to 80% of the water. And it's not sustainable in Punjab, Haryana to continue with this. So in order to have more distribution of water equally, we need to promote other crops. Also focus on rain-fed areas, small and marginal farmers, women farmers. Now on achieving zero hunger, in fact SDG 2.1, 2.2 deal with hunger and malnutrition. According to Dr. Somanathan, hunger has three major dimensions. One is calorie, protein hunger due to inadequate consumption of milk, eggs and all, and hidden hunger, the micronutrient deficiencies, the vitamins and all. So basically there are 5 challenges in achieving zero hunger. One is, according to FAO, still 16% of population suffer from undernourishment, around 200 million. On Indian children suffer from stunting in spite of decline, 35%. In fact, it is higher than sub-Saharan Africa numbers. Also our neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Nepal and others. So we still have higher malnutrition. Of course, within that Bihar, Jharkhand and Uttar Pradesh has 40-45%. The third one is the anemia among women has increased compared to last NFHS to 57%. The fourth one is also important one. The FAO indicates 75% of Indian population can't afford the healthy diet, which costs $3 per capita per day in 2021. So around 100 crore population also. And last one, at the same time, obesity is also increasing, particularly in urban and rural areas. So these are the challenges one has to look at that also at state level. There are significant variations in undernutrition across states. In fact, in 4 states, recently it has increased. Himachal Pradesh, it increased during the period. In Gujarat also it increased. And Kerala has the lowest stunting level, 23%. But Bihar and other, Jharkhand and other have, even Gujarat has 39% stunting. And these are the numbers I gave. For example, Gujarat, 38.5 to 39%. It has, increased. So malnutrition requires multi-sectoral approach. Gates Foundation gives the, from education, economic growth, the water and sanitation, food systems, and health and all. So we have done, for example, my other colleague Vijayalakshmi Pandey and myself did what are the pathways for affordable healthy diets. So one is improving diversity and reducing post-harvest losses, biofortification, women empowerment, wash, and also nutritious food including eggs in midday meal schemes. That's also important. And also recently book, myself and Ganesh Kumar and Vijayalakshmi Pandey discusses some of these issues on achieving zero hunger. On poverty and inequality, poverty is declining while inequality has increased. The estimates of Tendulkar Committee and also Niti Aayog multidimensional poverty also shows there is a decline. The state level poverty ratios show that Kerala is the lowest one at 0.6, but Bihar has still 34% compared to Kerala's 0.6% in poverty. On inequality, we often hear this. The top 10% Indian population holds 77% of the total national wealth. And inequality has been rising whether you take consumption, income or wealth. In fact, bottom decile composed of, small and marginal farmers, agricultural laborers, and, and they are located in poorer states. And also this K-shaped recovery, people, whether you agree or not, whether it's V-shaped or K-shaped, there's been recovery of formal sector, but informal sector still it's taking time. And demand for programs like MG Narega still higher than that of the pre-COVID. So some kind of K-shape still may be working. On human development, a recent paper in EPW, Oman and Chakravarti, they find both beta and sigma convergence for the Human Development Index for 15 states over the period. Like health and education played a major role of convergence across states. But the speed of convergence, they say, declined after FRBM Act. They say it reduced social sector expenditure. We have to look at the numbers. However, the ranks in HDI have not changed much, although they are saying convergence. In other words, states are converging. The gap between the levels of HDI and still are quite high. In fact, there is a paper by Kakwani and Jekaria, a very elaborate paper, econometric work and all they did. So they estimated per capita state net domestic product and said, like what I said, they are not converging. So they said it has not been pro-poor or inclusive. But in the second exercise, they use well-being indicators like infant mortality, literacy, and stunting and other things. They said that they are converging. But the second conclusion, the human development indicators, they converge because there are asymptotic limits for the human development indicators. For example, if you see life expectancy, Kerala, even in 1994, it was 73. It has increased to 75 by 2016. And look at Odisha, 57 to 70. So they will converge after some time, over time, because there are limits, asymptotic limits for the human development indicators. Madhya Pradesh 55 to 67. Similarly, infant mortality, Kerala 12 to 6, Bihar 71 to 29, decline. Madhya Pradesh 94 to 46, Odisha 96 38. So like that they are converging, but levels are still, some of them are still higher. So policies for reducing inequalities, employment is the crucial one for reducing inequalities. Need for structural transformation. Professor Nair examined at Asia 14 countries. Some followed classical pattern from agriculture to manufacturing, while others leapfrogged, like India leapfrogged from agriculture to services. For example, structural transformation in India, agriculture share declined, but it is not absorbed by manufacturing, which Professor Krishna was talking about, the industrial stagnation or something. So the share of manufacturing increased only marginally from 10.5 to 11.4 in the employment. Although Dr. Goldar says there is a share has increased significantly to 30% and all. But if you see employment, it is not increased much from 10% to 11%. Thank you. So if you see the women participation rates, also the significant disparities. For example, Himachal Pradesh has 68% women's participation rates, and Haryana, Punjab has less than 20%. So the women participation, how to increase some of the, where levels are lower, one has to see. Another challenge, of course, youth unemployment. The youth unemployment is generally 3 times higher than the general unemployment. However, among the graduates, it's about 42%, the unemployment, concentrated among youth and educated, and demand for reservations, recent Maratha quota you can see. And also there is high share of informal enterprises that has increased from particularly proprietary and partnership enterprises. It has increased thing. Some other challenges of employment, social security for gig workers, promotion of MSMEs, and technology, including AI on automation and employment, because many people are saying now, advanced countries, it's already started. The demand for labor is declining. So it may happen in countries like India after a lag, maybe 4 or 5 years or so, you may also have reduction in demand for labor. And on social protection, we know that India has long experience on social protection. So there is some consensus for cash transfers directly giving to farmers, women, and state level disparities in implementation is there. This I will skip. Now I come to my third one, the climate change and sustainability, briefly. We know the sustainability thing. In fact, MS Swaminathan appealed to the farmers as early as 1968 not to harm the long-term production potential, and he coined the word evergreen revolution. There is a real threat of climate change on food, manufacturing and services, where we have to adapt and mitigate. In fact, there are several interesting studies examined the impact of rising temperature on states of India. For example, Madras School of Economics, they have done a study, impact of climate change. So results based on state level show that negative effect of rising temperature. 1 degree rise, temperature leading to 4.7% decline in growth rate. In fact, another study also showed 2.5% reduction in GDP growth. And also manufacturing, Somanathan et al. Also show that reduced worker productivity and increased absenteeism on hot days. Also decline in manufacturing output. Last study, using the reduced farm model, one study showed that impact of rising temperature on standard of living. In fact, generally we say coastal areas considered vulnerable, but this study shows inland are more or equally more vulnerable, central, northern, northwestern, and more vulnerable. This sustainable, in the COP26, India announced the country will aim to attain net zero emissions by 2070, and we need preparation at the state level. Because why I am mentioning this, because if you want to have national level goal of net zero emissions, preparations have to start at state level and district level. So that's why I am flagging this issue. In fact, the RBI gives one table, where the emission intensity is there. The most emission intensity is the electricity, gas, air conditioning, followed by metal products, and then rest are transport, water transport, air transport, and land transport. They are the highest emission intensities. Agriculture comes number 8 or 9, but agriculture has other, not only carbon emissions, but also methane and other problems are there. India has to get ready for climate resilience policies. There are two types of inequalities regarding consumption. First one is inequality in consumption pattern between advanced countries and developed countries. Second one is between rich and poor, and less developed and more developed states in India, where carbon emissions, one has to look at that. In fact, consumption of the rich in India is more or less equal to the rich of the advanced countries in spoiling the atmosphere. Now I come to my last point, the fiscal federalism. In a large country like India, states play an important role. Consolidation in state finance is equally important, as they spend more than the center, because the combined central and state gross fixed deficit was 9% in 22-23, and debt was also is high. So some of the states' fiscal deficit is also high. For example, fiscal deficit and debt, particularly after COVID, it has increased significantly, the debt, so that is an important issue. Across the fiscal deficit, the recent RBI released this state finances. The 22-23, Bihar has the highest, the gross fiscal deficit, followed by Himachal, and Punjab, Rajasthan. So although at the aggregate level, there is a decline in gross fiscal deficit, but some of the states have high fiscal deficit. On the Finance Commission and regional disparities, the 16th Finance Commission was appointed recently. The state share, earlier 15th Finance Commission, it was 41%. As there are fiscal imbalances, they may not increase much. However, of course, they have to look at these cesses and surcharges where it has increased significantly. In fact, if you see the ratio of states in central gross tax declined from 37% to 31% now. Although we are talking about 41%, but actually they are getting 31% or so. So the horizontal distribution formula of the Finance Commission is important. In fact, Dr. Y.V. Reddy, this is the only instrument we have, for equalizing the fiscal transfers. Because all others may favor private investment, the foreign direct investment and all favor advanced states. You can see the share of states in gross tax revenue. The recent data shows 31.9. In fact, I come to this bridging north-south divide, mere political issue. In fact, speaking at a protest last 2 weeks back, the Karnataka Chief Minister said, we contribute one rupee and we get back 13 paisa. But in a large diverse country, we need cross-subsidization of poorer states by the developed states is inevitable and acceptable. At the same time, South Indian states say that we are penalized for better performance than those of less developed states. In fact, the share of southern states has declined from 21% to 16%, from 11th to 15th. So what's the solution? I mean, there is no easy remedy for this political challenge. 16th Finance Commission can look into that. But solution has to be found beyond the Finance Commission. One can also think of setting up a stabilization fund or fiscal council to discuss these matters. So we have to find an answer for incentivizing the better performance states like South India while giving larger shares to less developed states in the north. So it has to be a more political solution than bureaucratic. The finance at panchayat level, because recently RBI released a report on finance of panchayat raj institutions. It shows that panchayats earn only 1% of their income through taxes. And greater autonomy for panchayats results in better governance and superior outcomes. But unfortunately, state governments decentralization means up to state level. It's not, they don't want to give it to panchayats, the devolution. So everybody thinks up to them, it stops the decentralization. Lastly, on data issues at state and lower levels, state level data quality problems, recently, I think Dr. Dolakay's committee appointed by the MOSPI, they gave a report. So I think we have to discuss more about the state level data. TICE can facilitate these discussions on different states and data quality issues. Now I spent 2-3 minutes on concluding observations. So we examined regional variations, growth, inclusion. So in a vast country like India, there are large interregional variations. As the British economist John Robinson said, whatever you can rightly say about India, the opposite is also true. So what's happening in northeastern or Kerala, it happened, something is happening here, but may not be true in Kerala, other countries. Our analysis showed that per capita GSTP is diverging, while human development indicators are converging. However, there are still significant disparities in the levels of human development. The less developed states have lower levels of per capita human development, less human development, higher levels of malnutrition. But however, some of the developed states also have problems, like South Indian states and higher debt and fiscal debt problem. Similarly, Gujarat has, I don't have nothing against Gujarat, but higher malnutrition levels are there. Gujarat, like Kerala, has second generation problems. So in other words, each state has some development problems one has to focus. That's why I'm flagging this issue of regional dimensions to about that achieve the 2047 goals. So the less developed state like Bihar UP and Madhya Pradesh will contribute more in economics and social development in future because of demographic dividend. Because their average age is still lower than many other advanced countries. In fact, the share of old age population in Bihar is likely to be about 7%, 8%, while in Kerala it would be 17% in 2036. So they will contribute much more. So that's why Finance Commission has also to look into some of the future growth of some of these states. Ultimately, of course, it is interpersonal, because why we are talking about regional disparities, this inequality in the distribution of income and assets, the reduction of interregional inequality is merely, it's a means to achieve the ultimate end, the interpersonal disparities and all. So to conclude, India is now aspiring to become rightly a developed nation, and states spend 60% of the total government expenditure, 70% of education, health, and 79% of government employees also employed by the states. So the role of states thus equally or more important in achieving the goals of higher economic growth, inclusive and sustainable development. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you so much, sir, for this detailed analysis of the whole system and summarizing the whole thing with statistics and analytics. May I now invite Dr. K. Shanmugan, Secretary, the Indian Econometric Society, to propose formal vote of thanks of this inaugural session.
Before I get into my job, there's a small request from Coakley Institute of Economics and Political Science. Director Professor Ranade would like to give a special book which has been brought up by him to our chief guest, to Professor K. L. Krishna. Professor Ranade, please. The short sentences on the long message from this book. This book is written on Gokhale and Gandhi, and Gandhi by Gandhi, and this is all of us know Gokhale is the guru of Mahatma Gandhi. So this speaks about his volumes on how our Indian independence is achieved. Respected chief guest, Professor K. L. Krishna sir, our Honorable President, Professor Mahendra Dev, Professor Sukhantu Dev Burma, Dean, Faculty of Social Science, and also Chairman Organizing Committee, Professor Deepak Sharma, Registrar, and our dear Subro, we lovingly call him as Subro, Subhrabaran Das, Head Local Organizing Secretary of this particular conference. All the past presidents were sitting in this August gathering, past secretaries and treasurers. It is indeed a very happy moment for all of us that, like, the total consensus was there in our society to go to Northeast. In fact, we came to this university under extremely critical circumstances, wherein there was a complete aspiration that we must go to Northeast, that too interior, and we have to have a conferences. And we were ready to, shoulder any responsibility. Both, this has been the spirit, both at Tripura University as well as the Indian Econometric Society when we started this. And sir, let me assure you, our president has worked hard to realize what we are having today as an academic success in the form of huge number of papers that has been coming to us, even if it is held far east into the country. Before I thank every one of you. Let me tell you, around 380 papers have been received, and out of which 368 papers, 354 papers have been accepted. And all these things are planned, segregated, distributed into various technical sessions. I'm sure the topic is spread across, as usual, across all the themes into economic analysis, particularly routing through quantitative and econometric exercise. I thank organizing committees, the program committee, particularly program committee, for sorting out this particular issue of accepting the paper, distributing them across. I thank our beloved Professor K.L. Krishna sir, chief guest of this August gathering and function, for having accepted our short notice, sir, and then having come here with all kind of your busy schedule, have given us inspirations and ashirwad, which will go a long way in shaping our success in time to come. Although, sir, you are our leader, we also thank at our own level. You are the inspirational force, very quietly calling me, Shanmugan, what is happening, and he from the behind and also from all sides pushing the fundraising for the entire organization, and that has helped us to move forward. I thank Vice Chancellor Gangaprasad sir for accepting this particular conference and to be hosted. When I met him 5 months back approximately, he was very happy. He was delighted that I am very happy that it is going to be in our campus, and unfortunately because of his health condition he could not participate with us. I am sure he will come back as soon as possible, again have a touch with us. We will have one more program in one way or other in this campus. We will see the signs of all kinds of development that will come between Indian Econometric Society and the Tripura University. And I thank all the past presidents who have accepted our invitation. Professor T.C. Anand sir, Kamaya sir, Burman sir, Chatterjee sir, Ramchandran, our beloved friend, all of you who have come and accepted. Special thanks to Professor N.R. Balmurthy. In fact, I must say that 50% of the task that I have to do it has been supported by him, and it is his guidance and spirit that has pushed the fundraising as well as academic aspirations of this conference in a huge way. I thank Dr. Turaisamy, Dr. Yashvardhan, and our treasurer, I call him Pradeep, but Pradeep Dardi Pandaji, for hard-working task that was in your hand and you have completed successfully. I thank program committee for that. I also thank all the very important thing is the people who have given a good amount of money for conducting this particular conference. I thank ICSSR. I also thank State Bank of India, National Stock Exchange of India, Multi-Commodity Exchange India, Exim Bank, and others. We are also in touch with various other organizations. I am hopeful they will also fund as usual. And Indian Econometric Society have been organizing. It is not just the annual conference that we are gathering here. Indian Econometric Society has been organizing theme-based seminars, workshops, and conferences. And I'm sure all of you are sitting here. You are the vehicle. You are the vehicle. You are the medium. You are the Shakti that could give us to reach everyone in this country. In fact, sir, as you pointed out, as all the seniors in the past pointed out, that Indian Econometric Society should not be an elite organization situated in the cosmopolitan and semi-cosmopolitan cities. It will have to go to rural India. And the vision of rural India and taking the vision of the Indian Econometric Society to rural India, it is in your hand. I'm sure all of you will get back to me, and I will definitely get back to all of you. Jointly will realize this particular theme. I thank all the teachers in the department who have wholeheartedly supported, student volunteers who were always willing to accept the challenge. That is a very important thing. They have done a wonderful job. I thank them. I thank media. I thank all non-teaching staff and all the people who have supported our conference in a big way. If I have left, it was not intention, or it is not intention. If I have forgotten, I thank every one of you for being here and successfully now taking forward the conference for another 3 days. Thank you very much, one and all.
On behalf of the organizing committee, I thank you, sir, for proposing vote of thanks and being here. With this, we come to the end of this inaugural ceremony. Now we will be doing national anthem. I request everyone to kindly stand up on your seats.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा